It was a sunny afternoon when I returned to my ranch, expecting a quiet day of work and routine maintenance. Instead, I was greeted by chaos. Karen had somehow convinced herself that she had the authority to evict me from my own cabin. According to her, the HOA's rules somehow allowed her to dictate who could stay on my property. What she didn't realize was that she had completely misunderstood the law and that her actions were about to backfire in the most spectacular way. I first noticed the commotion through the ranch security system. Cameras showed Karen and a few HOA members standing outside my cabin, clipboard in hand, gesturing aggressively as if they were entitled to force entry. They were shouting about violations and unauthorized occupancy, completely ignoring the fact that I owned the land and the cabin outright. I activated the PA system across the property. "Karen, you are trespassing on private property. This cabin is owned legally and is under my protection. Any attempt to evict or remove me is illegal and will be documented." Karen ignored the warning, marching toward the cabin with an air of self-importance. She called 911, claiming there was an illegal occupation, hoping the police would intervene on her behalf. Little did she know, I had already coordinated with law enforcement and had prepared an airtight legal framework to defend my property. As she reached the cabin door, I drove up in my vehicle. Stepping out, I calmly displayed my property deeds and identification, making it abundantly clear who the rightful owner was. The HOA members froze, realizing that their supposed authority had no legal standing. The deputies arrived shortly afterward, prompted by her own 911 call. Karen attempted to explain her actions, insisting that the HOA had authority over the cabin. The deputies quickly reviewed my documentation, verified ownership, and confirmed that all actions by Karen and the HOA members were unauthorized trespassing. "Ma'am," one deputy said, addressing Karen, "you are trespassing on private property. Any further attempts to interfere will result in legal action. Step back immediately." Karen's face turned red with frustration and panic. She waved her clipboard, trying to argue, but it was entirely ineffective. Every step she had taken onto the property had been captured by security cameras, time-stamped, and documented. Her phone records confirmed repeated calls to 911, which now appeared to be attempts to manipulate law enforcement for personal gain. I walked into the cabin, ensuring that my property was secure, while the deputies escorted Karen and the HOA members off the premises. I filed a formal trespassing report and retained all video evidence, creating a permanent legal record of her actions. The HOA board was immediately notified, and Karen's privileges were permanently revoked. Neighbors who had witnessed the scene were stunned. Karen had believed she could use the HOA to evict the rightful owner from his own cabin. Instead, she had created a paper trail of trespassing, harassment, and abuse of law enforcement, leaving her embarrassed, legally exposed, and without any authority. By the end of the day, my cabin remained secure, the property fully protected, and Karen had learned a costly lesson about overstepping boundaries. The incident reinforced the fact that HOA members cannot assert authority beyond legal limits, especially when attempting to interfere with private property ownership. Karen had thought evicting me from my own cabin would assert HOA control. Instead, she triggered law enforcement intervention, legal documentation, and public humiliation, all while my property remained fully protected. Karen tried to use the HOA to remove me from my property. Instead, she faced humiliation, legal consequences, and permanent loss of HOA privileges, proving once again that rogue HOA members cannot interfere with private property without repercussions.